This episode of Dump and Change brought to you by EP Roofing. Roofing Alaska since 2007. To say that EP is a big supporter of Alaskan hockey is a huge understatement. Former Raise the Roof sponsor for the Alaska Aces. Yeah, they did that. They re-roofed the Sullivan Arena. Not a big deal. These guys will roof your home, your business, your backyard rink. Hell, these guys will even roof your podcast studio. Do it right the first time. Call EP Roofing. That's eproofing.com. And we're back. Welcome to the Dump and Change podcast, episode 12. I'm your host, Reed McDonald. We're on a good run right here. We made it past the dreaded 7th episode, which I think that they talk about in the podcast world of everyone does a couple episodes and thinks they're out of the woods, but you have to get past that 7th. I don't know why 7, but we've made it past 7. So stoked. We've got a good show for you guys today. We've got I'm not going to tell you who our guest is because that's not my job description. But unlike a lot of the guys we've had on, we've got an up-and-comer here who's kind of like just in the middle of his hockey journey, if you will. So. But before we get to that, we're just going to go around the room. To my right, my lovely co-host, Mr. Golden Voice, Walter Eunice. What's up, Walter?
Nothing. Excited to get back recording a little earlier than we normally would. But when you get the talent that we were able to acquire for this episode,
unreal,
you make it happen. And as always, we're at the studio. EP Glines has made it work for everybody, and I'm completing a little deck project for the in-laws.
How's that going?
Swimmingly, as always. I don't know how I'm going to charge them yet. It's going to be kind of awkward considering they clean up after me and feed me lunch and don't care when I'm there or if I'm there or how long it takes to do anything. So the deck looks fantastic. The in-laws are super happy. Well, yeah, clearly.
Of course.
Clearly. Yeah, so that should be done tomorrow, and we have some guests coming in with COVID-19 test results in hand because that's required now at the Anchorage International Airport, and we're gonna do some rafting and some fishing and a little bit of hockey, of course, as well. So excited to be here tonight. Excited to be with you boys. Excited with our guests, not our guest, but both guests. And,
this is huge. This is the first time
fantastic.
I think it's ever been done. For our guest, I know it is. But so you're doing decks, kind of a deck guy. You're also helping the Tarps Off Boys with a kind of a, I don't know what you call that project. I got roped in as well. But
yeah, they're an interesting group. General Labor for sure. They have a nice little project that they went to remove a deck, and you and I were nice enough to come and give them a little bit of advice from people that have, maybe swung a hammer now.
Consulting.
Yeah, consulting.
It's a consulting
job.
For zero money.
And they are,
by the way.
They are, yeah. Well, just like every hobby that we have, really.
Yeah, we talked about that. We take up these hobbies like this podcast that pay absolutely no money and take up a bunch of time. Where do I sign up?
Yeah.
My wife reminds me that all the time. Where do you sign up? Like, do another one.
Just find Reed, Walt, Ginge, and Glines, and we'll show you all sorts of expensive stuff that you could do that gets no money back.
Yeah, it's kind of a trend, unfortunately. Our producer, the Big Ginge. How you doing, bud?
Great. How you? I just want to throw a shout out to Kevin Hayow right now. Hopefully, I'm not stomping on your intro here, Steve. He came over here last night and ran all the wires, hooked everything up. We did a bunch of tech stuff last night, and slowly phasing me out. So I was getting kicked out of the band, boys. So
who's Kevin Hayow? Did he mean
Kevin Hayow? Exactly. So your buddy, are you done? Are you done with Kevin Hayow? I'm not done with Kevin. I mean.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I know what you're going into right now.
So I just want to say, like, a good buddy of yours and mine and everyone here, Travis Martin, our good buddy Travis Martin.
Travis Wayne
We're
Martin.
Thinking our heart goes out to you, buddy. You're getting snipped today, and that's a bitch. So all week, I've been busting his balls, no pun intended, about how horrible it was. And I'll tell you what, I actually I am also snipped. I guess is that the proper terminology? I mean, doctor, it's sounds pretty good. Yeah. Okay. So I just want to get the whole week he was just nervous, as we all are when sharp objects get in that area. So I'm just like giving it to him the whole time. And but I got to tell you my personal story, and this is why I was giving it to him, because I was so afraid of getting that procedure done, the vasectomy, so afraid, and for good reason. Some go good, some go not so good, but mine was. I had a Monomarth in my earphones. I like a lot of heavy metal. I'm listening to Viking metal because I'm like, I'm a Viking, and it's not going to make me any less. Got my beanie pulled down. I get in there. Doctor comes in. Great guy. He's checking it out. Whatever. In comes the nurse, and they got to wash you up, right? They got to disinfect everything. She just, oh, great. So, and you're doing one of these, you're like, oh, that kind of feels good, but it's kind of awkward. She's like, hey, are you one of those guys from Odd Man Rush? I'm like, yeah, that's one of those guys. She's like, my son played hockey with Ross's, who's my partner in the business, one of them, with Ross's son, Jesse. That's great. That's awesome. That's great. She gets done. It's totally awkward. So you get to the actual
done, or you get done.
No, but she gets finished with her procedure. I'm still in shock at this point. So then, you always fear that they don't put enough local down there. And damn it, if they ask for whatever, I'm not a doctor, but if they ask for 10 cc's, go 20. If they ask for 20, go 40. Because about halfway through, can you feel that? No. He starts going, yeah. He feels like it felt like he was shoving one of my nuts through my stomach. And I'm like, holy mother of God. You put your hands down there, not supposed to do that because that's sterile down there. Got in trouble for that. So anyway, it was not a good scenario. I come out of there kind of pale, as my wife said. You were pale. I mean, you were white as a ghost. So I of course told Travis that the whole time, but and I think Travis had kind of a similar story. He wouldn't really tell, but we called him before that, and we said it was okay to use his name. But Trav, good luck to you, buddy. I'm sorry about it. His wife was nice enough to make a care package, fruit. No, I said fruit basket, but I didn't mean fruit basket. I meant a gift basket of like plays on words, and he's got a picture of it.
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna go ahead and just tell you.
You got
right
to tell
now.
him something.
She got him a half gallon of Fireball with a Post-it note on it that says, "Sorry, your balls are on fire." She got him a Gatorade Zero that says 0 kids in our future. And she got him some Milk Duds that says now shooting on a Post-it note in front of the milk. Duds. So now shooting duds.
Dude, awesome.
Got him a bag of David Seeds, ranch flavor. Good call. Oh, nice. Rest in peace to your seeds. Just stuff like that. That's a good wife. That's a good
woman.
Wife.
Good woman. Sense of humor.
Was that surgery the one where you announced to everybody that you were an elite athlete? And then you sent the video to us?
No, but now you brought that up, I actually have an issue internally. Anyway, I had to have a God, what do they call it? Colonoscopy. So I had a colonoscopy.
That's right.
And I'm drugged up. They gave me fentanyl. So my wife, I said, when I come out of there, you start recording because this is good stuff. You get good stuff.
We're all about the content. She's
recording, and at one point, I throw Glines under the bus. He's a referee, and we always refer to him as fucking Glines. So I say that, and at one point, I'm like, I got a low resting heart rate. It's okay. I'm an elite athlete. Clearly not. But,
this video was probably the best video that he's ever
did not
seen.
remember a thing, but it was classic.
And the best part was your wife was in the background kind of giggling, which just made it better.
Well, she made a point. What'd you call yourself? An elite athlete? Yeah, that's right. Don't remember a thing. So anyway, back to sorry to get off the rails there. Our executive producer, Steve Glines.
Rito, I had something prepared, but I think I'm out in right field picking daisies right now. 45 years old. Y'all love my little daughter Paisley. She's 2. Do the math there. She's my first and only child. And we've been talking the last couple of years. We've come to the agreement about a year ago that I, too, am going to go under the knife. And first was, it was the holidays, and we're traveling, and then COVID and all this. And so I was actually going to make the phone call this week, and I think I'm going to pass on that for a little bit. So when I'm 68, and I'm on child number 7, I'm blaming you guys. But
Actually, we blame Swanee.
that's right.
I texted
Swanee saw it.
Travis today, and he still blames Swanee as I do. And I'm not going to tell that Swanee story here because we're gonna have Swanee in the pod, and he's gonna have to tell that one, or I'll tell it. But yeah, he's slipped one past the goalie there, a little late in life too.
De Niro,
5-hole
Mick
shot. I don't know if it was
Jagger,
a
late
5-hole
60s,
shot.
they've all done it.
He'll look good in
He'll
a
be fine.
wheelchair graduation.
He'll be fine.
Yeah.
And we roped him into coaching hockey for another 10 years at least.
Swan dog. He'd be
Swan
fine.
dog. He's good.
He's good.
And we're back to Kevin Heo. Kevin Heo. We didn't really we don't really have a we don't have a title for Kevin.
What
so
exactly does he do?
he does a lot. I don't know because
Every time I look over
it's
my
out of my
shoulder,
it's out of my. I'm the on-air talent. I don't
Yeah.
really mess with the
creepily
nerdery
snapping
stuff,
pictures.
but
There's a lot of cameras, a lot of wires, a lot of knobs. He twists a lot of knobs. What do you call somebody that does that? I'm not sure.
A knobber.
a knobber.
Oh.
Engineer. Nice.
Says the
There you go.
doctor.
Says
Does that
the
give
doctor.
anything away?
Engineer.
I like
well,
that.
that's
All
that's
right.
good.
Is that the new one? Is it official?
You thank him for your tag, 'cause I was sold on knobber. Okay, but you're the engineer now. Okay, Mr. Engineer.
Engineer. Can we introduce him as engineer?
Engineer Kevin Heo.
Heyo.
Heo. He's back there behind the camera, so he's not going to talk very
Yeah.
much. So,
You don't want to see him.
as again, like I said before, most of our guests that we've had on so far to this point have been their playing career. However good it may have been, they're done. But we have a guy that's actually on the way up. I mean, I don't want to even say you're halfway through. We don't know. I mean, the sky's the limit with this kid. So, on that note, I'm going to let Walter give the intro. This time he's not surprised like the one time I did that.
Yeah, no.
Sorry.
We have a good understanding of who's doing the intros now, and this intro is one of those ones that's extremely easy because the list of accomplishments of our guest today can only be summed up with one word: wow. Today's pod star played his youth hockey for the Alaska All-Stars and Junior Aces before playing one season for the South High Wolverines, at which point he left Alaska to chase his hockey dreams. After one season with the Pikes Peak Miners of the NAPHL, he played 32 games with Sioux Falls Stampede of the USHL before going on to star at the University of Maine Black Bears. After 3 seasons, wrapping up after his junior year, he was a Hobey Baker Award finalist as college hockey's most valuable player, which is odd because goalies really only have one job. World Junior Bronze Medal, Collegiate All-American, Hockey East Goaltender of the Year, Hockey East Player of the Year, Walter Brown Award winner, Mike Richter Award winner, 4th round draft pick, 111th overall, the Boston Bruins. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of those lists that truly could go on and on. I skipped a bunch of accomplishments. What a pleasure it is to introduce Mr. Jeremy Swayman.
Hey, good to be here, guys.
And now you've done a lot of podcasts.
Sorry. And Mr. Ken Swayman as well has joined the pod. Dr. Ken Swayman has joined the pod as well. That's my fault. I'm sorry.
And that's what I was going to say. You've done a ton of podcasts. Have you ever done one with your old man?
No, this is the first one. Pretty cool experience.
And the dog Jade is your dog is here as well.
Dog is here,
running
He's a
around the
little
property.
fan.
Well, she may be in the.
This is a pretty unique environment, man.
Yeah. So, as you know, our podcast is more of an Alaska hockey-based podcast, so that's kind of where we start with most of our guests. I know you've, we go like he said he missed a lot. I went through, and it's like 2019. The list just kind of kept going on and on and on and on.
I mean, what do you list and what don't you?
Unbelievable. I do also want to say that. Can you stand up for a second? Did you do this on purpose? But he's wearing lobster shorts. You trying to suck it up or? Nice touch. That was a nice touch. Ginge is wearing the lobster shorts.
Right, lobster.
Lobster. I don't have that. So stoked that you're here. And like we say to all the guests, we're big fans. Obviously, we follow Alaska hockey players pretty closely, and so you with this global pandemic, you find yourself at home. Lucky for us. What's your kind of? You have some workout routines? You want to share with us? Start out.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty unprecedented time, and it's good to be home for one thing. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, except by my dad right here. But no, I mean, it's again, it's just really unpredictable. But I've taken advantage of everything, and honestly, probably Anchorage, Alaska, or Eagle River is one of the best places to be in the world right now. Everyone's kind of on the same page. Being responsible, social distancing and stuff, and our economy's opened back up. So it's really good to be home at this time, and just taking advantage of that is important to me.
Well, I mean, I watched the we creep all of our guests' Instagram and social media to gain as much knowledge as we can.
Sure.
But the video you did for the Boston Bruins when you're up in the peaks was, I mean, dude, that's epic. I mean, especially those people I mean, for us it's like, it's just, I don't know,
well, and
it's not a big deal. But
the reply was great too.
Yeah,
Like,
dude,
Jeremy
you win.
Swayman, you win.
You win. So what? So you're a little bit of a hiker, a little bit of a mountaineer, armchair mountaineer.
Yeah, no, I grew up doing that. A lot of credit goes to my dad for that, but grew up hiking, fishing, backpacking, golfing, you name it. Everything was outside, and growing up as a kid, Dad'd get pissed if I didn't come back with scrapes on my knees and stuff from biking and stuff. So
Good man.
Yeah, no, I've been outside quite a bit, and as I'm getting older, start doing these, a little more epic trips and getting to know Alaska a little more is it's pretty special. So taking advantage of that while I'm here is it's been a good time.
So you're from South Anchorage. You're north of the river now, as we call it, north of the river. But
You're on the right side of the river.
But so what are some of your go-to hikes from South Anchorage? I mean, like my go-tos are like right in my backyard.
Right,
So I'm sure you're
looking
the
at
same
them right
way.
now, it's pretty epic. Yeah, go-to hikes like Chugach Range, flat top, peak 2, peak 3 areas. That's a quick drive for me. I fall in love with Bird Ridge. That's a great one. Just go straight up. I recently did Mount Marathon for the first time last weekend. That's not very close, but it was.
How was that?
It was epic. Yeah, I mean, I have a whole new respect for these marathoners now. They're running that thing and getting up in less than an hour and down in less than 20 minutes, kind of stuff. But no, that's been great. And we're trying to plan a backpacking trip here pretty soon. I think Kasugi Ridge up by Denali National Park is in the works. So pretty excited about that.
That's awesome. So Dad, doctor, you're from Brooklyn.
Yes.
You still got the accent.
And the
Certain
volume.
words.
Yeah.
I got to tell you guys, I'm not proud Alaskan hockey dad, specifically an Alaskan hockey goalie dad. But after meeting you guys and seeing this process here, it's now over the top. I don't think I could ever leave Alaska now after seeing this, being part of this. What a model you got here, and touche to you guys.
Thank you.
This
I
is
appreciate
Thank
that.
you. And the Hefeweizen's pretty good.
Thank Odd Man Rush, Mile High Hefeweizen, by the way, one of our sponsors. I actually forgot to say that. This is the Odd Man Rush Studios, and that will be over my left shoulder. Will be the new home of Odd Man Rush Studios whenever Glines gets that done. I think he's behind schedule at this point. But
Where's your framer, Glines?
his framer was a no-show today. We're not going to name names, but
Also an Alaska hockey tag, but we won't name names.
yeah. So what got you into hockey? Did Dad play?
Not in any formal sense like you guys have been playing here. I was always a fan, growing up in Brooklyn, New York Ranger fan. Pretty big time. My older brother got me into it. We used to go watch him practice, and the days of Bobby Orr, Eddie Jockerman, Brad Park, those guys.
Oh wow.
But never really played formally. Grew up actually as a basketball player. Thought he would be one. But
Got the height.
Just gravitated.
No hops, don't worry.
Yeah.
Put him on skates at age 2 and then never looked back.
Yeah.
And just kind of took it. Started goaltending age 5.
So are you still a Ranger fan, or?
I became a Bruins fan. June
I was gonna say, yeah,
2017.
exactly.
I
Good
still
answer.
still like the Rangers and respect them and wish them well, but of course, 100% Bruins fans.
Yeah. So Jeremy, tell us a little bit about like what got you into hockey. What was the attraction to get you into the sport?
Yeah, like you said, I was skating at 2 years old in the ponds in the wintertime, and he was actually a volunteer doc for the UAA Seawolves, so he would see all the athletes, and he ended up getting free tickets to the UAA games. So I grew up watching college hockey, ever since I could walk, and I think it was meant to be, but our tickets were legit right behind the goalie, and so I'd be seeing, back then it was WCHA as North Dakota, all those schools were in that, and
The
so it was
big
like
boys.
legit, it still is, but it was legit with the some big names in there. And so all I could see was the goalie. I had no other vision. And so I fell in love with the pads first off. I thought the pads were pretty cool. And I told him one day, I was like, Dad, I want to be a goalie. And he said, no, you won't. And
I think that's a standard parent answer.
Yeah. And Gordy Morgan, I don't know, it might be a familiar name to you guys, but he ended up getting me a pair of pads and tried it out. And that's when I really fell in love with it. Yeah.
So actually, it started in the garage. Gordy gave me a set of pads, said put them on and start shooting on them. So we got a net, started shooting on them, and the holes in the garage are still there to this day.
So did you skate like your first when like we all know you skate with like mini mites or whatever, like U6 or UA, whatever they call it now, or 8U. I don't even know. I say it wrong all the time. But
changes year to year.
So are you like immediately drawn to the net? Because I mean, let's face it, all the kids love to play goalie, but there's like those certain guys that like they really love to play goalie.
The weirdos,
yeah.
I mean, there's a couple pictures of me playing for the Ice Pups, and I was in the net just kind of standing around. But no, I love to score goals too. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah, I love to rip pucks and shoot. But yeah, I just think there was something that came out. You had to be the best skater on the ice to be a goalie. And
well, that you're a beautiful skater. And that's what they say about. I mean, you can skate. I mean, from the time you come out of the warm up thing, you can tell. You can tell the kid's a skater. You can tell that you can skate. So that's a huge part of the game. Having goalies move. I mean, being big is one thing, but having that movement and skating ability is like. It's got to be number one.
Yeah,
right?
The day of the fat kid in net is long gone. Well, no, it is. Yeah. It's long gone. Like, it's the biggest, strongest, most athletic, best skater that's the goalie now. So, I actually saw a really cool picture of you with a pretty epic celebration at an all-girls scrimmage today where you scored a goal.
Saw that, huh?
Congratulations.
I was pretty fired up. Yeah, I told you I love to score goals.
They all count. They all count.
Yeah.
So we talked about we both have kids that play and I had my youngest child, Gavin, when he was he's 16 now. He started playing mini mites, whatever, and then you trade out. Like the one kid plays goalie, one game, the next kid plays goalie. So he got in there, and he's like, I really like this goalie thing. And so I've been coach for a while. At that point, I'm like, and it's a dreaded, your kid wants to be a goalie. Yes, because it's really inexpensive, right? Pads are like really cheap.
Oh yeah.
So talk a little about that. When he decides to be a goalie, what's your thought process?
Well, the truth is I was always fascinated by the goalie position. And we have pictures around our house of Eddie Joachim and Gilles Villemure, who were the goalies of in the 60s and 70s for the Rangers. And Jerry Chivas for the Bruins, actually, as well. So I was always fascinated by the goalie. My brothers used to say, you got to be crazy to be a goalie. And Jeremy was kind of the crazy kid.
Fit the mold.
He fit the mold.
Yeah.
I think he just liked the excitement, and his passion was contagious, and we just ran with it, and we did what we had to do, and he took it from there. But
that's what you have to do. Yeah. And I always told parents who came to I was a coach, and they're like, "Oh, my kid wants to be a goalie. Oh my god!" And I'd be like, "Hey man, you gotta embrace it, because I mean, kids want to be a goalie, want to be a goalie." So, kind of funny story, twist of fate, Gavin wants to be a goalie, and I'm like, "All right, I gotta suck it up.
He's the youngest.
Yeah, he wants to be a goalie. So I'm like, okay, you can be a goalie. I mean, I tell everyone else that, but and inside I'm like, oh god dang it, he's gonna be a goalie. So I'm like, be a goalie, you're a goalie. And he's weird too. So he starts off
huge feet.
Plays huge feet. You know what they say about huge feet? Huge shoes. So he skates. So he plays 1 year, is awesome. He's actually pretty good. Next year he's like, come on, play out. Okay, play out. Plays a couple games out. Come on, go back. Nope, you missed your chance. Miss your window. Nope, it's over. I already sold your pads. So he's a defenseman now. So
gotcha.
He had to settle. Back to hockey in Alaska. Take us through kind of some of the guys you play with, some of the coaches you play with growing up in Alaska.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could name them all, but, grew up, Todd Beth or Jim Mays were my early coaches, and I was a really young guy, and I think I was in preschool, and I was playing with, 96 birth years, so they were in 2nd, 3rd grade, and I remember, you probably have some funny stories with that, but I got picked for the team, and, again, I was in preschool. And these guys are shooting a little harder than they should be for my age. But ever since then I played up and kind of grew up with that age group. So Todd Bethard, Jim Mays definitely sparked something for me. And then what happened? Who was the next coaches there? Shasby. Yeah, I had the Shasby brothers, and that was when I started traveling too. So that was a travel team. And
what year do you think that was?
U14.
Oh, before that. Well, Bethard and Mays was 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were there for a while.
And you weren't even in kindergarten.
Yeah.
Well, so we're at Dempsey Anderson. Gordy Morgan was the one that said he should try out as a goalie, for their Mike team. And I said, well, he's not even in kindergarten yet. He said, just let him do it. And he makes the team. So I'm talking to Todd Bethard, and I'm like, he's not even in kindergarten yet. You guys got second and third graders here. And he says, oh, yeah, we know. And I just totally trusted him from there. And, I can't speak any higher. Those guys were just amazing people. And they really kind of cemented.
Kind of sparked it off.
Oh,
I mean, they're great guys. I mean, I coached with Maisie, and my little brother grew up playing with Bethard. So, and Gordy's a great guy too. So you grow up. We want to really touch base on high school hockey a little bit. You played at South.
I did.
So again, you're north of the river. You're in enemy territory now.
Sorry about that.
So tell who'd you play for? We were trying to think of the coach back then, and was it?
Yeah, Steve Beldy. I actually played 2 years. I was there freshman and sophomore year. JV my freshman year.
What?
Yeah, JV.
Who was the varsity goalie?
Davis Kitagawa, transferred from East, and then Kevin Lake.
Lake,
sophomore, so he was a year above me.
So Lakers little brother's in 07, and he played goalie up till last year, and then he was Todd Bethard's goalie for years and years, and he last year said, I don't want to play goalie anymore. Wow. And he skated out, and every time I seen him, I said, "You having fun?" He says, "So much fun." So it was kind of the opposite, right? Like he got into goalie, really excited, and then he was out. Like,
Well, real quick, I mean, there's that age-old thing that goalies are weird, and as a hockey player, I've been around a while. It's mostly true. I mean, you seem normal right now, but I'm going to tell you a story about when I played college with a guy named Joff Sargent. His name was Joff. His actual real name was Jeff, but his best friend was named Jeff, so he changed the pronunciation of his name to Joff. That's how weird that kid is. Anyway, he gets to college, and he is normal. He's a normal guy until you add alcohol. There it is. That's it. You're a goalie. So is there any truth to that? I mean, you seem like a pretty normal, well-adjusted guy.
Yeah, I take pride in being probably one of the more normal goalies.
They all say that.
Check with my teammates all the time. Yeah, you can fact check that, but no, I definitely take pride in that one.
That's awesome. I actually believe you right now.
Thank you.
I believe him too.
He hasn't had a few more.
I believe. Just even judging by. Reed had put in a lot of footwork trying to message and everything else, and then I just happened to be in the right place at the right time and just talking to you initially right then.
Small town.
Yeah, totally. You seemed very you look at a person in the eyes, you shake their hand, and it was
good job, Dad.
We fist bump. We don't shake hands. We fist bump. But no, and that's kind of one of the initial things that struck me too was like this goalie is he seems fairly normal.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, well, that's you're the first guest we've had where I really don't have any personal connection with you. I don't know you at all.
Yeah, none.
Other than being a fan.
Yeah.
So this is awesome that we can hopefully still pull this off.
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. So you play in Alaska, freshman, sophomore year, junior year. You leave to play hockey in Colorado for the Pikes Peak 18 AAA team.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk a lot about, I don't know if you listen to our podcast. I can say the three other listeners that listen can attest to, but we talk a lot about one of the things going on in Alaskan hockey right now is kids leaving early, and I'm leaving so you leave, you're a legitimate stud, and that's what my point is. Like you top 4 or 5 in their age group. Bye. You want to play for someone, and this is proof of that. I mean, you went out there. So tell us about the decision to leave Alaska and go to that next level.
It's not as glorious as you think. No, I'm serious because it wasn't planned, and this is kind of the turning point in my career, I think. So I was a sophomore in high school, just played U16 Oilers, and actually Mary Waldrop started that team because I told him, I came up because him and I have a really close, tight relationship. I've probably done 200 skates, 6 a.m. skates with him, in my lifetime here. So him and I are tight. And I told him, I said, I don't want to leave for my U16 years. I'm a sophomore in high school. I'm 16 years old. I think I'm too young, and, I don't want to leave yet because I think there's still hockey to be played here. And he definitely took me under his wing, and he made a U16 team called the Oilers, and now look at it today. So it's definitely a pretty amazing organization he's made. But anyway, after that year, there was no U18 team, and there was no other choice for me but to play juniors. And so throughout that year, my goal was to play juniors somewhere, NAHL or USHL. And I ended up getting a sniff from the Kenai River Brown Bears, and I went to their training camp, their legit training camp. I got to go down there, and, I'm 16 years old, frail, and weak as shit, and I'm working out with these 21-year-olds, 20-year-olds, just mooses. Like, guys look like they have 3 kids already, just bearded up, and all veterans, man. And I'm just like, holy cow, like this is crazy. And that was a great experience. I think I did fine. Jeff Beauperant was the coach there at that time, and he was pretty happy with how I performed, and he said he'd keep in contact with me throughout the year. And we did like 3 or 4 tournaments out of state that year, did well, got some interest, but really nothing else. Like, Kenai Brown Bears was like my team, and so I ended up signing a tender with them, which is pretty rare for a sophomore in high school to sign a tender.
Big time.
Yeah, so I was super stoked, and obviously he was happy, and my dad, Dr. Dad here, and he basically said, a tender, for people that know, is basically equivalent to a first round draft pick, or equivalent to a roster spot almost. Like, you don't tender a kid unless you really think highly of him, you think you're going to be on your team. So that kind of went to my head a little bit, and I was young, and I didn't really realize what I had signed. And that summer, after I signed the tender, I had all these promises from Beauperant, and he's like, you're going to come in and you're going to play games for us, you're going to win us games. And I'm like, all right, I'm a shoe-in. I'm already on the Kenai Brown Bears. I'll be a junior in high school. That's like perfect. My career's starting. So I didn't have the summer that I should have training-wise. I took days off probably, and didn't take my nutrition as seriously as I could have. Still active, right? I was still getting pucks, but definitely could have taken it to another level. And I went to Maine camp in Minnesota. Well, how many? 150 kids, you think? There's like 8 teams with like 16 goalies. And, I'm the only tendered goalie. And I'm like, 16 years old. I got this. Yeah. And so had an okay camp, nothing spectacular by any means. I made the All-Star game, probably let in a couple that I shouldn't have, and went into my exit interview still pretty confident, all right, I'm going to be on the Kenai Brown Bears. And in my exit interview, Beauperant looks at me and he says, we think you need another year of development. And I just kind of sat back in my chair and I went, oh shit, like that's not what I wanted to hear. And so that was my biggest setback, that I've ever been through, being cut from a team. And I just kind of, listened to him talking, and he's just like, yeah, we want you to go develop, and it's going to be possible that, you're going to have such a great year at U18 somewhere that you're going to bypass the North American League and go right to the USHL. And I said, there's no way. You can't start promising me all this stuff. I didn't even make your team. Went outside, talked to my dad, and, that wasn't a great conversation. He was pretty upset.
Yeah.
But we were scrambling. My dad and I were scrambling for a team. We had no idea what to do. There's no U18 team in Alaska, and I didn't want him to have to pay for me to go play out-of-state hockey and hear all these horror stories. Guys are paying, $30,000, $40,000 in prep schools and everything, and they're still not getting exposure. And I just didn't want to have him do that. He's already done so much for me for my career at that point. And so there was a whole new motivation for me at that point on. And I basically, we had a consensus that I would have one more year, to really get my career going, or else we're going to kind of call it quits. And ended up getting in contact with a coach named Greg Vanover. You can actually tell his story really well. I'm going to pass it over to you.
Yeah, so I'm sitting out in the parking lot in a rent-a-car in the suburb of, it was near Blaine, right? It was near Blaine, Minnesota. It wasn't Blaine, but it was near there. And it was a week-long camp. And, those are grinders, not only for the kid, but for the families. You go in there for 5 days to 7 days. And like Jeremy said, there's a little bit of a business model with that. They have a lot of kids. They're charging a lot, and you're getting a hotel, and you got to go eat at Applebee's every night or whatever it is. So it was a grind. It was a whole week. Truth be said, I mean, I watched every minute of the camp, and he did fine. I mean, he was as good as any of the other goalies. Granted, he was not even 16 yet, or just turned 16, and all the goalies were like 18, 19, or 20. So there was a maturity difference in the physicality and how they maybe handled themselves. And this is not an insult to Jeremy; he just didn't have the experience yet. And the last day, like you said, there was a all-star game, and he did let in a couple of weak ones. I always tease him. I say, I'm going to tell you the good stuff. I'm going to tell you the bad stuff. And those 2 goals, our dog could have stopped. So I mean,
it happens.
It's I say it with love, but it's I tell it like it is. He's got to know like it is. And when I was waiting in the parking lot during the exit interviews, minutes were ticking, and I said, this is not good. Because I figured he was going to come out and say he already got his uniform measured and
here's my
bag.
bag.
Because the other kids were coming out like that. And he wasn't coming out. So I started preparing myself mentally, and indeed, he comes out, and he was crying. And in hindsight, I think it was the turning point, and I think we have nothing but gratitude for Coach Beauperant now, because that changed his whole mentality of how he approaches not only just hockey but life. As a hockey goalie dad, proud Alaskan hockey goalie dad, even prouder now after meeting you guys and being on this podcast. Hockey is more than just a game. It's really part of life.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a part of life, and it's a lifestyle, certainly for us, that we've chosen and embraced. And I think getting cut from that team changed his mindset so that whatever he does, be it in hockey, as a parent, as a husband, whatever he does, he's always going to go back to that moment of what it felt like. And I wouldn't say it was even rejection. It was more disappointment.
Yeah.
Because the preparation, and Jeremy can comment on this. We had talked about it. Being a physician, I'm always about preparation. You do a surgery, you spend hours and hours preparing for it before. You take a test, you spend weeks preparing for it, months preparing before you take the actual test. And I don't think he had the maturity at that point to go into that main camp thinking, I got to work my ass off. Nothing is a shoo-in.
Right.
A roster spot is not a guarantee. And he learned that lesson. And he came in the car, and I think we were there in the car for a while. We didn't leave the parking lot for a while. And he said to me something that I'll never forget, and I don't think he will either. He says, Dad, I will never be cut from a team again. And to his credit, he hasn't been.
I love it.
But more so, and again, not to embarrass Jeremy here, it's a mindset how he's applied it to life, and how he treats people, and how he treats animals, and how he just lives life. So Coach Beauperant did more for him than he knew at the time. And we went back to, so we didn't know what we were going to do. Merritt didn't have a U18 team.
Right.
Keith Morris
You're
and Merritt,
scrambling at
they
this
were on that
point.
program. There was no U18 team. And, we love Alaska. We didn't want him to leave early, and that's why we have this great friendship with Merritt Waldrop, who's he walks on water in our
Great
eyes,
guy.
as does
Great
Keith
guy.
Morris.
Yeah.
And I tell them that. They think I'm crazy, but I mean that from the bottom of my heart. They didn't have a team, so there was nowhere to play in Alaska. And we're like, we're going to send you to a prep school? I mean, most of the kids were already at those prep schools, so he would have been coming in after the fact. I called Shaddix. What was that other one? Kimball. They had goalies. They were interested in him, but they had goalies. I mean, Marty Brodeur's son was there. They're not going to say, well, we're going to kick Marty Brodeur's son off and take your son. And my wife, in passing, just said, what's that? All these kids are going to Colorado. What's that team? That's the team. And I said, well, yeah, it's the Pikes Peak Miners. And a very dear friend of mine, Brian Ashley, his son was playing for the U6 team, Pikes Peak Miners. I call up Brian. I go, what's the name of the coach of the U18 team? And he says, Greg Vanover. He says, I could get you his number. He gets me his number. And I kid you not, it was a Sunday afternoon. I call Greg Vanover. He's in his car. And he's doing errands with his little kid and his wife. And I introduced myself, and I said, this is what's going on. And he says, well, I've heard of Jeremy. I know, just heard about him. And I said, he just got cut yesterday. So after Jeremy got cut from the team, it was a Saturday. We flew back that night because we had known that was the last day, right? It was the All-Star game. So we had made flights to come back, but not thinking we would be scrambling to find the team.
Yeah.
We thought we'd be coming back in the celebratory mode.
High-fiving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I call him on Sunday, and he says, well, Ken, the truth is, and we talked, and it was very comfortable, and he was a great guy. I could tell he was a, maverick coach. And he says, we had our tryout like 3 weeks ago. We have our team, but let me call you back tomorrow. And I said, I trust you. And I said, if you can't figure it out yourself, maybe you can direct us. And he calls me back the next day, and he says, we're going to take him. We're going to take 3 goalies. He said, truth be known, one of our goalies just wants to play another year anyway. He's going to go to medical school, and he's not really into hockey. The other goalie's a competitor. So, Jeremy will fight for playing time, but we feel off the record that, he'll get it. And lo and behold, within 2 months, he's in Colorado Springs, great billet family, and he just skyrocketed from there. So actually, shout out to Beau Perrant. He really changed.
A lesson learned,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, that's the story.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, that's a great. All you kids listening out there, I hope there's not too many, but
Too many under 18.
That's a great
and
lesson because I mean, a lot of the guys who go through. I mean, there's the Scott Gomez's, but there's guys who you got to fail and you got to feel that and move on. So that's awesome. I mean, Colorado Springs, not the best place to live.
Oh.
It's like only 300 days plus the sunshine, and I mean, so you go down there, you play in Colorado. Did you get any interest from CC or Denver? I mean, did you want to stay there? I've been to CC. It's freaking unbelievable.
Yeah. My billet family had season tickets to the CC games, and at the time Hunter Feegis was there too, and I was buddies with him doing pro skates in town, and so I would go to CC games, go in the locker room and stuff, and never had any interest from CC. I had a teammate on the team that I was like best friends with, Brendan Doyle. His dad was the assistant coach of the Air Force Academy. And by the end of the year, his dad reached out to me, and then Frank Serratori, the head coach, reached out to me. He said, we'd like to have you for an unofficial visit. I never went on it, but he did reach out. So, again, I didn't really have contact with colleges at all after that year. And I didn't have that much contact from USHL teams either. I had a family advisor at the time. I just got him, and he was saying that, we want to get you drafted in USHL next year. And I signed a tender with Wichita Falls halfway through the year. And that's in the North American League. So this is the second tender I signed. And, yeah, I wasn't going to get cut from that team, so don't worry about that. But
you actually had like 8 to 10 teams in.
Yeah, it was like every showcase there was
they were
teams.
calling.
I'd be walking into the building. It was all at the Minnesota Ice. What was that?
Schwann Super Center.
Yeah, it was
Super
crazy.
Rinks, yeah.
So these coaches were like gutty, and I would walk in, and they would come up with tenders like right at like in the door, and I would just they were just like, sign this, and I was like, I can't be doing that right now. So it was pretty cool. Like, it was a great experience, but like, being on the phone, it was kind of like a prelude to colleges, because they would be calling me and I'd be like, oh, like, what's the goalie situation? I'd talking to different stuff. And then I'd be like hanging up on them because I didn't want them, you know what I'm saying? So like, I got to choose which NAL team I really wanted to go to. And so who was the coach at Wichita Falls? I forgot his name. LaFontaine.
Yes.
LaFontaine,
yeah. He went on to the USHL to Muskegon.
Yeah, and so he was like really big.
He was a great guy.
Yeah, he was legit, and I thought Wichita Falls, was a good spot. So I ended up signing with tender Wichita Falls, but that was it. That was the only interest I had that year. I had a decent year, and anyway, I came back home after that, and the USHL draft was happening, and again I had no real buzz. Omaha said they'd draft me in the 6th round. That didn't happen, and I was at South High School in Beldy's class. Steve Beldy.
What does he teach?
Steve Beldy. It was like a study hall or some bogus class.
So nothing.
He teaches study hall?
Yeah,
he teaches study hall.
It was something wild.
Congratulations. Study
And,
hall.
I mean, Bellady's great. I do like him a lot, but when he put me on JV, I wasn't too happy with him, and so it's kind of like the next year I played varsity with him, and he was a great coach and everything. But it was really cool to tell him I just got drafted in USHL. I thought that was a cool experience. And
Not a big deal.
Yeah, no, but
You're JV goalie. got drafted.
but basically, I mean, I'm looking at my phone, kind of round 12 goes by. I was round 12 or 16.
12.
Yeah, so it was kind of getting late in the draft. I'm like, oh man, maybe I'm not gonna get drafted. And yeah, round 12 came by, and I was a late draft pick too. So never talked to Sioux Falls. I didn't know where Sioux Falls was. That was in Iowa. And I look up Sioux Falls Stampede Arena.
I don't know either.
It's an NHL
It's
caliber
yeah.
arena.
Yeah.
Unbelievable
They
arena.
got a nice facility.
It was unbelievable. And I was like, holy, I want to play for the Stampede. And that summer, went to the Wichita Falls Maine camp, made the team there, and it was in Michigan. And then we drove from Michigan through Chicago to Sioux Falls and went to Sioux Falls, and knowing that I was already on a team, so that was a little bit of confidence for me. And
Pressure off.
they drafted 2 goalies too. Sioux Falls drafted 2 goalies. This kid named Eric Dopp, and he was like a 3rd or 6th rounder. He went a lot higher than I did.
6.
And so I knew that there was some serious competition there. Anyway, the Sioux Falls main camp went on and made the All-Star game, and at the end of the camp, I look on the board and my name's on it. I made the team, and so that was pretty cool. What do you take from that? I know you have a funny story from that one.
Well, he did well. He did well at the main camp. And what story are you talking about? So at the end of the camp, coach comes up to me. I'm just blanking.
Owens.
Scott Owens.
He coached
Scotty
CC.
Owens.
He coached CC.
CC,
Yeah.
I know Scotty very
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So there was some high caliber goalies at USHL main camp. You're gonna have high caliber goalies. I think they had 6 teams or 8 teams.
Yeah.
So there's 8 goalies. 2 drafted. Eric Dopp, who ended up going to Bowling Green, and then Jeremy, of course, ended up going to Maine. They all were good. When you watch these kids, they all look good to me.
Right.
And they're stopping pucks, and no one's really letting in weak ones. But he was playing with a little bit of swagger. He, again, he had a great camp in Detroit, Wichita, and he knew Wichita. They kind of talked him up. It's too bad that team went under. They went under a year later, but he would have been safe. He would have had a year there.
Right.
They had won the NAL championship the year before, so they were a firehouse team, and we were pretty stoked. And he was playing with confidence. Scotty Owens comes up to me in the hallway of what's it called, Schwam Ice Arena.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Sioux Falls, they don't skip a beat.
No, Shields. It was
Shields Ice
yeah.
Arena. Everything in Sioux Falls is top notch.
Shields?
Shields
Yeah.
in Sioux Falls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sioux Falls is pretty amazing place.
Yeah.
And they love hockey, and it's amazing people. And Scott Owens comes up to me in the hallway afterwards and says, "Can I talk to you a little bit?" And I'm like, "Sure." And he just started talking about how Jeremy played, and he says to me, "Do you know how kind of we see him on the pyramid?" I go, "No, I wasn't really sure what he was talking about." And he takes his left hand and he puts it up really high, and he says, "Here's where we see Jeremy on this pyramid." And then he says, kind of everybody else, and he wasn't being negative or derogatory at all. He was being a total professional. Yeah. I mean, Scotty Owens, as you know from CC,
Yeah.
I mean, he brought that team to many Frozen Fours.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so he knows how to talk, and he knows how to coach. And he just says, the other guys are down here, and he put his right hand much, much lower. And he says, we want to take him, and we think we're going to play him. And I was like, it's music to my ears, Coach.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of how it went down.
And there was a returning goalie coming back, Stezka. He was a 3rd-round draft pick
Like Czech Republic
by the Minnesota Wild, and I wanted playing time. I wanted to go to juniors and get games because I know I wanted to be a Division I hockey player one day, and you can't do that playing 3 to 6 games a year. And so I called my advisor and I said, "We got a good problem here," and I said I made both teams, and he started laughing on the phone. He's like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to play in the USHL. It's everyone in the USHL gets committed." And he said, "All right, well, you're going to have to fight for playing time." I said, "All right, I wouldn't want it any other way." And it turned out Stezka didn't return to the Sioux Falls Stampede. And so was scripted, and 2 new goalies came, and it was me and Mikhail Burden, and he was a Russian guy, and he's very good goalie. He was drafted by Winnipeg, and we had a great camaraderie, and that whole year, he
So
pushed
did you
me.
guys split the net that year? Or?
We did, yeah. He actually didn't come until like a quarter of the way in the year, and we had a North American guy kind of coming up with us, and I was getting some playing time there. So yeah, we ended up splitting games that year, and it was great. I was practicing with an NHL draft pick goalie, and his goalie coach from Winnipeg actually came, and I got to work with the Winnipeg goalie coach, and I totally got better that year. And we weren't the strongest team, but I was getting 32 plus shots a game, some upwards of 40s and
50.
a couple 50. Yeah. So I didn't have the best record, but that's when the schools really started talking to me. And the first time, well, I don't know if you want to transition to schools right now. That's kind of my story with the juniors.
No, go ahead. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, so we played a couple preseason games in Sioux Falls, and I did pretty well, and I was feeling confident. So yeah, obviously I ended up choosing Sioux Falls, and we had a showcase in Omaha, Nebraska. That's the USHL Fall Classic Showcase, and I was hearing buzz about the showcase that there's like hundreds of NHL scouts, hundreds of college teams, and this is the place to be if you want to be, recruited. And that fired me up. Like, I was really excited. It's a new team and, a new league. And, growing up in Alaska, I knew that every opportunity you get to be in front of scouts, you got to perform, because we don't get that opportunity all the time. And that's just an Alaskan pride thing I have, and I'm sure a lot of other Alaskan kids have. Yeah, it's a pretty big special thing, yeah. And did well at the showcase, and I had a line of coaches after the showcase, and that was a pretty cool experience. And I called him after, and he's like, "No, you're bullshitting me." I said, "Coach, Dad, I talked to like 6 different schools just now," and he didn't believe it. But Maine was one of those schools, and then Cornell, Ohio State, Minnesota, and a couple others. But yeah, just being in that locker room after that showcase, I was pretty excited to where my career is going to go after that.
So you played for Scotty Owens, and just to give listeners a taste of how old Scotty is, he was a coach. I played in Rochester, Minnesota, USHL, which is not even a team anymore, obviously. Scotty Owens coached the Madison Capitals, so he's been around a while. So he's also a goalie, another goalie coach. So so how was it playing for that? And then obviously went on to CC, and he's done great.
Lit it up, yeah. I mean, he was a great coach. He had a lot of experience. You couldn't second guess him because he's been through everything twice. It seemed like, and he had great assistant coaches too, and that helped a lot. But I think the best thing about that team was just no matter how bad a game was going or anything, we just kept competing, and that was the most thing. That was the best thing I took out of that year. Yeah.
So you have all these colleges. At what point in your career do you look at? And maybe it was obviously before this. Like I'm gonna make it, and maybe it was that fateful day with that getting cut from Brown Bears. But where do you say I'm gonna make it here? I mean, this is really happening, and then it really does snowball kind of after that. I mean, after you get cut from Kenai, it's you go down there, you go to Pikes Peak, you perform. Now you're at USHL, which those that don't know, people listening to this podcast probably know. You go to the USHL, it's like I don't know what the percentage is, but 99%. It's you're almost a D1 shoo-in at that point. But as you know, you don't take anything for granted. I think that's a big part of your success. This is just me looking inside. It's just that's awesome. So you have all these schools courting you, basically. And what's so special about Maine?
And who was a close second?
Close second was probably Minnesota. I liked Minnesota. Yeah. Well, Shearhorn went there, but there is a crazy story about
the U.
The big U.
Yeah. So when I was talking to all these big schools and stuff, they were promising a lot. And what did that make me think of? Beauparent right away. I swear to God. No, I swear to God.
Again, another shout out. Thank you. Another thank you shout out.
Bopa.
Thank you.
Bopa. And I was like, fuck those promises, man. I'm serious. Like I lived through it, and I don't want anything promised. I want to earn it. And so you get Lucia coming in and talking to you, and obviously great coach, great amazing career. Like think the world, like he is. Yeah, think the world of him. But he's saying, you're going to come in as a true freshman next year, and you're going to compete for games and possibly get more games in Shearhorn after he's played 90 consecutive games in 3 years. Like, he's got an NCAA record or something. And I love Shearhorn. I grew up with him kind of, and that kind of stuff just didn't sit right with me. I don't like those promises being made right beforehand. And a lot of other schools did the same thing. He said, we got junior goalie, senior goalie that have outrageous stats, and you're going to come in and take the job. And so, that fires me up. But at the same time, when Maine came in, he said, you're going to have to earn every minute you play. And those are both the assistant coaches, Ben Guite and Jay Leach. And they said, you're going to have to earn every minute you play. And that struck a chord with me because I knew that was legit. And ended up doing – I didn't even know who Maine was either. So it's like funny, Sioux Falls and Maine. I had no idea they had these teams. And did our research and was blown away. The goalie success they've had –
factory.
It was incredible. And then, the amazing Alfond Arena. And I knew, like, growing up in Anchorage, it's kind of a small town. And, I knew that I wanted to be in a community like Anchorage, somewhere to escape, go nature, do a little hike, or, just somewhere I wouldn't get lost with 40,000, 50,000 kids like these Big Ten schools. And not that the Big Ten schools weren't attractive. Like, that's a pretty fun place to play. But, I just knew that being in a community like I grew up in was going to be special for me, and playing for a community that is so faithful about their hockey club was a special thing for me, and Maine offered that and then some.
So you go to Maine, and so I was talking to a couple people today, but I was trying to figure out how many Alaskans have gone to Maine. Do you know?
I don't know the exact number. The Barrett Heistons. Yeah, the Heistons did.
Chris Heiston, Barrett Heiston, and the first one was Tony Link.
That's right.
Okay, yeah.
Who would play with me. That's how old it goes. But it's relatively new. I mean, I was actually thinking there was like more Alaskans that gone there, but you're like the fourth guy to go there.
Wow.
And Alfond Arena, how cool is that? I've only seen video online, but it looks like it looks like a pretty magical place. I mean, one of those arenas with a lot of character, I mean, you talked about the fans, and I creeped on a little bit here, but I mean, the fan support there is just outrageous, right? I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Old broads singing. You said something where they were like chanting everything on one of the podcasts. It stuck with me. Where you look up these old days are like every word, they knew every word to every chant. You're like, no, that's buy-in at every level.
Every level.
So I mean, just unbelievable. So you leave Maine now. I have to look at my stats. I'm sorry, but this is crazy. Well, first of all, you get there and you before I go to that, you get there and you end up getting the job basically as a freshman. Mm-hmm. So again, you go back to when you got cut, and it's like, no, I'm taking the reins. I'm doing it for, and you really never let it go. You, for all 3 years there, you are the man in every sense of the word. So you leave Maine. I got to read this. You leave Maine as all-time leader in saves, minutes played. You rank second best in school history in goals against average behind a guy named Jimmy Howard. And now it's safe to say you stay one more year. That's your record, right? I mean, am I wrong? I mean, come on, let's go.
Is he good?
I mean, he's not bad. But this year was the year. I mean, you were solid before, but this is year you blew up. I mean, Swayman just is unstoppable, and that's. I follow a lot because my son plays now, and I follow a lot of that. And it's like the chatter is, I mean, you're on everyone's radar at that point. If you weren't before, you were really, everyone's talking about you. And if you Google this guy or YouTube the guy, there's like 50 videos.
Yeah, good luck.
I've got none. How many do you have, Walt?
Zero.
Yeah. Anyone else? No. No one's got anyone. So take us through what was so special about this year that you hit another gear, and like again, I think you're on the way up. I mean, I don't think it's the end. Obviously, it's the beginning.
My coach Red Gendron, has one of my favorite quotes from him is, "You can't buy experience at Target." And so without I'm serious, yeah. So without my freshman and sophomore year, this year couldn't have happened. And another reason why I chose Maine was because of Red, and his commitment. Basically, telling what changed my attitude was, not only is he going to make me a better player, but he's going to make me a better person. And that was important to me, and obviously he loved that. And so, he did that, and I cannot thank him enough. He's one of the greatest role models I have, and along with Alfie Michaud and the other coaches. But
That's your goalie coach, yeah?
yeah, Alfie Michaud, I could talk hours about that guy. He's a guru.
you got a lot of Alfie stuff on your Twitter.
Yeah, he's a guru, man. And no, without him, this year doesn't happen as well. And that was a big deciding factor too of if I was going to sign or not this year, because another year with Alfie wouldn't have been the worst thing in my life, and that all went into play.
Well, you signed with the Bruins. At some point, it's got to be a little bittersweet. I mean, leaving Maine, leaving your boys you've been with for especially your class of guys. I know that's special, and you carry those relationships as you do all your hockey relationships. But those guys in college you're there with for a long time. I mean, it's a long time. So it had to be a kind of a gut-wrenching decision.
Well, yeah.
Even though it's no-brainer,
I mean, yeah, Maine was the first team I played on for more than 1 year since like high school. Yeah, because I've been bouncing around each year. But yeah, the relationships I made, brothers for life, like in every sense of the word, just like you said earlier. But it wasn't only that, but it was the community, the other school. Like I would go into a class and the professor would start talking about me in like the stock market world. He said, "You're gonna need a goalie like Swayman. You're gonna need bonds because he needs to slow you guys down." It was so funny. Like finance professor, he loved it, and it was just such a great community to be a part of, man. And like every time I think about it, that's why it was such a tough decision, because I loved it so much, and so much went into the decision. But just like you said, you get a contract in front of you, and it's such a good and amazing organization. You're not going to say no to that. So at the end of the day, it was my decision to go, and I couldn't be more excited about that.
Oh, it's huge, and you're set up. We're going to get to that, but you're kind of set up pretty good with the Boston Bruins. I mean, as far as
couple older
guys that are obviously good, but you're kind of set up there. But real quick, I gotta give you an unbelievable shout out here. I got to watch my kid play at Providence, so I watch on whatever they. I'm watching on my. Actually, I'm watching the big screen as you do. You know what I say. CBS all access sports. I'm watching, and that's the first time I've actually watched you play a whole game, and I'm like, son of a bitch. Dude, get outshot 48-24. And
did you not see the first game of the year?
I saw the first game of the year where they got beat 7-0, right? Yeah. So you were in net for all 7. But now this is a different. This is next level stuff. So you're facing Providence, which is high powered offense with Dugan and Tice Thompson, great guy. But it's just like pucks in your end the whole time. And it's not like the funny thing about that game. It wasn't like shots from the side and your defense are keeping them out of the side. It was like grade A scoring opportunities where the guys almost announcing, and the Dugan, and it's in the net. No, Swayman. I mean, unbelievable game. I was enthralled, and I'm happy for my son. Don't get me wrong, but I was like. I mean, you're an Anchorage kid. It was cool. It was cool to watch as an Alaskan hockey player. But take us through that game. I mean, because you look up, one thing I looked up on YouTube was highlights, and half the highlights of that game of you robbing those guys. It was awesome.
That game, in the back of my mind, it could have been, my last game at home at the Alphon. And I kind of knew that going into it, and it was senior night, and we didn't have a shoe-in for home ice playoffs yet, and certain teams, I think UConn had to lose to Lowell or something, and we were playing at the same time, so I don't know what the score is or anything, and so that was just an added element to the game and the hype and everything, but just the motivation, and it was packed. It was a sold-out game.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
It was really a dream, man. It was like the perfect way to end my college career. It sucked how it ended, obviously, but I'm saying it was a perfect way. But yeah, it was an amazing game. The biggest thing for me was just enjoying every moment of it, and I didn't look at the big picture of things. There's added motivation to win that for our seniors because they've done so much for our organization. They took us under their wing, and I think that senior class and my sophomore class, or the junior class, really changed that program around, to where it was like 5-6 years ago. And so we took pride in that. And again, just to win at home that one last time for this year, and And, me being part of that, that last class, that was pretty special for us.
Well, the way you threw your arms up at the end, it was like,
well, I was
you were amped up.
A lot of people don't know I was crying. I really was. Yeah. It was just this weird feeling like, I don't know if this was going to be my last game at the Alpha.
Ever be back. That's
and it sucked because we had UConn ended up losing, so we would have had home playoffs against UConn at home, who was the only team that beat us at home that year. We had 13-1 record and like 13-1-5, so it was an amazing year to play at the Alpha.
Well, it's like, and it's too bad the COVID kind of put a damper on everything. But where could you guys have gone? I mean, you guys were picked to finish 8th, right? And I think you finished 4th,
and we loved that. We loved that,
dude. And so like in that Hockey East, and I got to say, no offense to the other conferences, but Hockey East has got to be the place to play right now.
I agree.
I mean, you're looking at I can't remember what it was, but the differential between points from like 8th to 3rd is like 6 points.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like a couple games
Wild.
here or there.
It's probably the closest year it's ever been.
Unbelievable.
Like, insane.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So you get done. You're done. I mean, with Maine, but how do you feel going into like your first professional career? And now the NHL is ramping back up. So I mean, there's a chance, may play this year, maybe, who knows? But but you're looking into obviously next year coming in and seeing what you can do, and with your great attitude, I don't feel sorry for those guys, but you're in a good spot with Boston.
Mm-hmm.
You agree? I mean, you got some aging, great players and Tuukka Rask and Halak, but you're gonna come in there and start swinging, are you not?
Yeah, no, that's it's only going to help each other. If I come in and compete my ass off, it's only going to make each other, like, the other guys better. And that's what I've figured out, throughout my college career was, I had a mentality of I want to be the man every time, but without my backup goalie, Matt Thiessen and Steven Mundinger this year, I wouldn't have been as good as I could have been because, every practice was compete. Like, I would lose to them and I'd be pissed, sticks were broken and stuff. Yeah. So it was that mentality of competing my ass off that made me better, and obviously them too. And so, that's the mentality I'll take into this next level. And I understand that the pro game's a little different, but at the end of the day, you're stopping pucks, and I couldn't be more excited.
I think Walt said that. You have one job. Stop the pucks.
Be big, simple game. Yeah.
So, I real quick, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about, Hobey Baker. I mean, dude, how huge is that just to be in the running, number one, and then now you're like the final three?
Didn't you finish top 3?
Top 3.
Wow.
Yeah, I read an article where I was second. I don't know who got that vote, but it was like, wow, just there. Yeah, but. No, that's a huge honor to be in the same conversation of those 10 finalists, and then to be, picked for the top 3 with Kalgucci and Perunovic. I actually know Perunovic pretty well. Played with him in the World Juniors, and him and I buddied up pretty well there. So, as soon as it got announced, he FaceTimed me, and we were just like ecstatic. Like, who would have thought? Because we were never USA guys growing up. Like all the USA NTDP guys usually win that, and we're like, who would have thought, right? And so it was pretty cool experience to share that with him. But yeah, I know. I mean, we've been talking about the Hobey Bakers since college. Like, I ever got into college hockey. Oh, you're gonna, can you imagine if you ever win the Hobey Baker? And it's just a pipe dream, right? And
yeah, you had a legit chance to win the Hobey Baker.
Yeah, so that was an extremely cool experience. And being in as soon as I got picked, like I got in contact with the Hobey Baker committee, and just being a part of that community in itself was like, holy cow, like these guys have talked to some of the greatest hockey players in the world, before they made it into the NHL. And, just being in that community now, I think I'm actually going to a golf tournament in early August if everything works out with COVID, with the Hobey Baker committee too. So that's going to be cool to finally meet them because I didn't get to go to the ceremony, right? And so they're going to do a good job of, making it all work that way. So I couldn't be more excited about that.
Well, it's that's the type of stuff you dream about as a kid, being even in the same breath as the name Hobey Baker. But like back to your career, what was the one point in your career where you said, like pro hockey's an option? Like a lot of guys from Alaska, I think, are more of the I want to play college hockey. That first and foremost, play college hockey, get an education.
Right.
at what point you're like, man, I could make a career out of this and play pro hockey? I mean, when is that point in your career?
The draft helped that point. Yeah, when I got drafted in 2017, even that process was, wild, like kind of unknown. I think I talked to Boston one time during my year at Sioux Falls. I actually went to a pre-draft camp in Toronto, and that was like a week before the draft, and they said, yeah, we're going to look to get you. And that was pretty cool talking to NHL teams. That was just kind of a pipe dream too. And so the draft definitely, kind of let us realize that, okay, this can be a legit thing. But, the draft doesn't mean anything until you sign a contract.
Right.
And, I knew that was my next goal. So setting that next goal was important to me, and I wasn't going to let, anything get in the way of that. And so now that I signed my contract, the next goal, Stanley Cup, baby. I know it's a big one to say.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's important
Expect
to me.
nothing less. I mean, so now that you've foregone you're not going back to Maine, and this is kind of a question for both. I think I know the answer, but Dad's doc, is there any plans to go back and finish the degree, or?
100%.
Obviously there is.
100%.
Now.
Yeah, so I actually put myself in a pretty good situation. I was taking a lot of summer classes and winter classes. I'm sure you know about those, and I'm ahead of where I should be as a junior, and that's going to give me a lighter load for my senior year, which I'm going to be able to do online, which Maine offers all these classes online. So I'm actually struggling to find classes to take because I've already taken the majority of my business classes. I'm majoring in business management.
Yep. Nice.
And so
good choice.
Last semester I took ballet and stuff like
Ballet?
that. Yeah. So,
how'd that go? You take that online or?
No, I took it in person. And I think honestly that actually helped me so much with hockey. I still do some bar routines at home for workouts and stuff. But yeah, ballet was pretty fun. Just getting in, I met so many new people. Yeah. But yeah, just looking for classes now to take kind of, and it's going to be very doable for me is what I'm trying to say. And, I'm still in contact with all my academic advisors and stuff. And it's definitely, I could possibly graduate on time too with my class, which would be pretty special for me.
Unlike Pete McEnany. Unlike myself, I got to say.
Way to go, Pete, 5 years. It's funny you bring up Pete. Same story from the U. Small town guy.
Yeah.
Went to the U.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. He said the exact same thing you said. You get there, it's like, holy cow. There's 50,000 people or whatever, and he said the same thing. It's kind of cool that you picked Maine. Didn't Maine go after Pete too? Maine, Harvard, and Lake Superior, right?
We have to ask her.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but it's
Wow.
two small town guys, both not complaining, but being part
too
of
big.
Yeah.
Well, how
big.
big is, and I should have looked this up. How big is University of Maine? Student body, 8,000?
No,
11,000.
11,000. Yeah. So
but compared to University of Wisconsin,
Exactly.
University of
Yeah.
Minnesota, you're 50, 60, 70. I don't
Exactly.
know what's out. So that spoke a lot. You're Black Bear on campus. You're the big Black Bear, right? I mean, come on.
right.
Do you must take that on your hikes too? I'm the big Black Bear. Back down.
Big Black
Outta
Bear,
here.
Jeremy
Blackie,
Swayman.
get out of here. Yeah. So, but just unreal career. And what I like about this one, this, like I said before, it is our first podcast where we've had a guy kind of, I don't want to say the middle of your career because I don't even know where your career is going. Hopefully it keeps going, but you're on the up and up.
Pad, yeah.
And it's been a pleasure to have you guys on, and you should let the dog run around.
Yeah. Reed's been pushing for Swayman for past couple weeks.
I got ghosted a couple times.
Well, no,
but that's all I had.
But he stayed with it. And I can tell you right now, the first time I met you, it was you talking to Merritt and me realizing that you had a Boston quarter zip on and Maine Black Bear shorts on, and I'm
I think I know who this guy is.
I'm like, hey man, are you gonna come on the podcast or not? So you were like, yeah, absolutely, and you pulled out your phone right then, and you talked to me. You didn't just blow me off or anything like, yeah, whatever, go away. You sat there and talked to me like, yeah, man, I want to come on and everything else like that. And you could tell from, your dad, well, I mean, he's the one that raised you, and you shake hands, you look people in the eyes, you're very well spoken, and yeah, like Reed said, I can see why he wanted to have you on, and I'm glad that we did.
Big time.
Because
So
you're an unreal interview.
Before we leave, who are some of the players you kind of looked up to? I mean, other than your dad, you can tell your dad. I can just tell. I haven't just met you guys. Your dad and you have a great relationship, and
Yeah.
obviously you admire the hell out of him, which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, he's all right. We'll keep him
all right.
around.
He's
We'll
all
keep
right.
him around.
A little crazy sometimes. That's all right.
You didn't get the accent.
Well,
though.
he's a
Yeah, I know.
he's a goalie dad.
Damn it.
He is a
goalie
goalie
dads. Yeah, they're a little crazy.
But who
We
are
could talk hours about this guy. Oh man, no, it's good. Guys I looked up to. Obviously we didn't have a team here. Growing up in Alaska, and so I just found my goalies. I like goalies looking up to, and so Braden Holtby was a big one early on.
favorite goalie of all time?
Favorite goalie of all time, I couldn't name. I mean, I didn't really start watching hockey until I was in probably Sioux Falls. I didn't really love watching hockey. You'd be like, why aren't you watching NHL? And I'm like, do something else. No, seriously. And so,
No cable.
yeah, we had cable. I just didn't use it I was watching some bullshit shows. Yeah. So,
Okay.
Oh, do tell.
Shows.
Do
Yeah. Yeah, all right.
and Braden Holtby, I liked him a lot. I liked how he moved. He's super athletic. Jonathan Quick, even he's an American guy, and
Stud.
some serious success in the league.
Turco,
I mean,
work ethic.
Maybe you watched him, but that's about And so
Marty Turco.
yeah.
He's an old guy.
But now I've always evolved. I don't want to just stand on something. I want to evolve with the game too, whether that's changing up a style or changing up pads. And Alfie helped me with that the most. He said, first thing when I've talked to him on my visit, he's like, Sway, I'm never gonna tell you what to do. I'm gonna give you every option, and you're gonna do what works best for you. And he said, you can tell me to just piss off on certain things, and you can take some things I tell you and run with it. And that's what really sparked the relationship with him and I. I knew that this was going to be the right guy to look up to and to learn from. And so that's what I've done. And so with goalies now, I'm in love with these younger guys. Like Carter Hart, I watched him at World Juniors in person.
Cat a hat.
And
And Jordan Pennington having the success in the league that he's had, and just being these young guys. And I don't want to say that I play a certain style, because I don't. At the end of the day, I don't care how I look. I just want to stop the puck.
right.
Yeah. And so just the competitive mindset is important to me, and flexibility and athleticism are probably my strengths, skating ability, and that's what I kind of want to run to.
Well, I mean, the position of goaltender has changed since I've played real hockey. Wow. I mean, back then it was like you went down. Oh man, go top corner. The guy's flopping like a fish. Go up top. Now it's like now everyone does it, and they're stopping the puck. But it's changed so much. So keeping up with that change is my personal favorite all-time NHL goalie is Martin Brodeur.
Right there. Yeah.
And maybe it's
Legit.
Gomez thing. I don't know, but I think he's a stud.
Well, Red coached him. Yeah, my coach at Maine.
There you go.
He would always tell me Marty Brodeur stories. Yeah.
So, and maybe we got to wrap it up here. Last question, maybe. Any advice for, young goalies who was one sitting right here, old Rito Harbison?
For sure.
Any advice for just young players coming out of Alaska?
Simple. Stay in the moment, man. I used to get caught up in, if this doesn't happen, then my career's over kind of thing. And yeah, that helps to set goals, but if I didn't stay in the moment and kind of get this Zen mentality, my mind would have been completely in shambles. And the best thing I learned from college was just controlling what I can control. I had games where I would look at the score clock, and I would look at how much time was left, how many shots I had, how many goals I let in, my save percentage. I calculate the save percentage, and then I'd let in the next shot. I'm serious. And so as soon as I learned that I didn't have to make anything bigger than it was and just have fun with the game, during whistles, I'd go over to the corners, I'd wink to a kid and stuff like that. It was just something that could get me.
Take your mind away.
Exactly. And vocalizing, I would talk to the guys. I'd bullshit with the refs during whistles. It was great. And I was having fun with it. This year especially, I was literally laughing during TV timeouts with Alfie sometimes. It was just simple things like that. And just enjoying the game made me so much more in tune with the game too. And just being in that moment. And it was a simple formula, but it was so true.
How long did it take you to figure that out?
21 years.
Exactly. So those kids
still haven't figured it out, man.
Boom, there.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thank you for coming on, Sway. Can I call you Sway now?
Absolutely.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right, man.
Thanks, Bopa, for giving us this.
Yeah,
this
Bopa.
absolute
Thank you
stud of
for
a
all you've done.
goaltender.
But And I love the story. I mean, those are the type of stories we want to come out where you've had a little adversity and your perseverance, and obviously you're taking that. And we're thinking of big things in the future.
Yeah, I love how you brought your old. I love how you brought
first
your dad.
pop of the old man.
First time that
Thanks,
I
Doc.
went, like you asked, and I think it's awesome that you came to support your kid.
Appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure, guys. Class act, all you guys.
All right, and you love the Odd Man Rush half of ice.
He does.
On tab now.
All right, guys, thanks for coming, and I think it's time for Dump and Change. Appreciate it.